Koma.
Nana Afrokoma, Sewa Kusi, Oboadun, in Kwaso. Agogohene, in Kwaso. Chiamomi Mama for boarding Kwaso. Greetings to all the energies we have evoked on this auspicious day as we gather to honor Nana Tuuda on his 13th anniversary as Asante and Asante and Kuromhene in Kwaso, and 30 years as Nkabomhene of Agogo in Kwaso.
Yeah.
We ask that energy, love, and light be sent to those that wish to have joined us today but could not.
Yeah.
We send energy, love, and light to any negative spirit that's African-centered, but should it persist and try to harm all that is great and good here today, we cast it down as I do this drink.
Yo. Cast it down. Keep here, move it up a little.
Thank you for the libations. May all the peace and blessings that are intended for everyone in the gathering be accepted, and that we all receive protection moving forward. The mission here today, as was already stated, is to celebrate and acknowledge 30 years of Agogo and Nkabomhene and 12 years of Asante and Kuromhene, Nana Tuuda. We will have acknowledgements and announcements, and we're going to begin with Mama Akuoko. She's going to be coming to us via satellite or Zoom.
Hi, everyone. My name is Rosemond Obinti Akos. I would like to congratulate everyone on this year's Sankofa in Enslavement. We have achieved much together over the years. We have done very, very well as the family structure goes. Me mamo ayiko. May Nananom Samafu continue to guide and bless you all. Me mamo mo ne ejuma. And also to my very own Nana Tuuda. Me mamo mo ne ejuma. Your family back home in Ghana and of the shores of America are proud of you. Ohene, piao. We love you and we're proud of you. Yamama Iko, thank you.
Our next acknowledgement will come from Nana Yao Sarpong. I know, but that's what they. Okay. Nana Bochi. Yeah, I don't. What's on here? That's also on Zoom?
Hi. Hi. This is Nana Bochi Adam, the chief language to Nana Kwame Sarpong in Agogo. I would like to thank the organizers of this gathering for helping us assess the development that is going on today. In the first place, I would like to take this opportunity to extend my compliments to Nana Tuuda, who is the Nkabomhene of Agogo traditional area, and also the chief of Asante Nkonim Kurom of Philadelphia. Nana has done a lot. He has helped in giving the opportunity to our brothers and sisters in Philadelphia to get united to their brothers and sisters here in Agogo, Asante. Nana's able leadership has helped the community in Philadelphia and Agogo unite, and it has been a blessing or achievement, a very good achievement on the part of Nana Tuuda. Nana Tuuda has been a member of the membership that go to the storeroom, the black storeroom in Agogo here. And he performs his duty creditably. For that note, I want to compliment Nana for not shirking his responsibility, even though he lives in Philadelphia, and the duty is performed here. As a result of that, he has been gazetted in the National House of Chiefs, the Register of National House of Chiefs in Ghana. This is a very great achievement. Nana, Muniyo, more grease to your elbows. Piao.
Next will be the unique organization in Ghana.
Hello, everyone. My name is Portia Obinti, and I'm representing Unique Ladies Association Ghana, Agogo. We've been working hand in hand with Asante Nkonim Crow and Nana Tuuda for about 4 years on. This year's Ishemu, I would like to use this opportunity on behalf of Unique Ladies to commend everyone in this journey. Again, we commend our very own Nana Tuuda on your celebration, on your instrument as Nkabomhene of Agogo, Asante, Akyem, Ghana. Moni Ejumapa, looking forward to working with you. Ebeshia Biem, Ohene, Unkwaso, may Nyame will continue to guide and protect you always. Bye-bye. Thank you also.
Maha, everybody, greetings. Abusia, Nananom. My name is Nana Tuuda Sarpong. I am the son of Agogohene, Nana Kwame Sarpong. I'm here to enjoy the festivities and support Nana Tuuda. He's been a mentor to me. He has been guiding me and teaching me about community. So I'm here not only as a supporter, but I'm also here as a witness. I am doing a documentary on my father and Nana Kofi Tuuda and all the chiefs here in America. I am a child of that bond created between Agogo and here in America. So I'm here to further elaborate and document and establish and tell our story to the masses. So greetings. Thank you. So I'm also doing the documentary because this December my father will be celebrating 50 years as Agogohene. So in conjunction, as well as 30 years for Nana Tuuda, and so I want to make sure that the story is done properly and the masses will receive it to show that this culture is established here in America, and even though it was taken away from us, we are here to claim it back and claim what's ours. Madasi.
And next we will have KOFI Santis Davis.
Greetings, everyone. I had the privilege of working on the actual book, the physical book, of putting this book together with my mentor, Nana Kofi Tuuda and Ohene. And it was a pleasure. It was something that was a dream for me to do, not because just for my personal satisfaction, but I saw how the book was needed. The book is a blueprint, an inspirational story, a narrative to show Black Americans that the actual process of Sankofa. And Sankofa is a big, major principle in the Akan culture. And we understand that for us to move forward, we have to go back. And so for young Black kids in America to see that someone can come from South Philly, you know, and I actually lived in that area recently, to come from that area, to go back to Africa, to find their, you know, calling, to get in contact with their, you know, ancestors and spiritual lineage, their family, and then to come back and then to share that with the community at large in North America. So it was a pleasure for me to be a part of that historic moment, and I am grateful, thank you, Ohene, for allowing me to be a part of that. And I hope everyone, you know, understands that this is not just a, you know, story about his life and a tell-all. This is not a TMZ exclusive, but this is a narrative to inspire others to Sankofa. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from Nana Kwabena Mponsa.
And the first of all, I'm going to let you guys know that some names of the kings that came before I start with the message that came from Agogo and Awa and all the chapters from various areas. You see the Nana Ampemdakon came from all the way from Virginia. Nana from all the way from Virginia. Nana Ampemdakon. And Nana Frimpoma and Kosohima Put your hands together for him, please. And Nana Jamra. And Nana Udru Bimpe. And Nana Kwaku Gyamfi Baamuhene of Agogo, traditional area. He is the one Nana Akuoko Sarpong sent him to represent this occasion right here now. Put your hand together. For now, we're going to give you the message, and we go on from there.
Okay, Nana Tuuda, Nananum, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I bring you greetings from the members of Agogo Worldwide Association, representing our chapter from the UK, Union, New York, New Jersey, Europe at large, Massachusetts, and Virginia. I'm really happy to be here for this important program, not as an invitee, but by leading in joining hands with Asante Nkabomhene and Agogo to host this historic occasion. We are here to celebrate 30 years of Nana Kofi Tuuda's ascendancy to the throne of Agogo Nkabomhene, 12 years of his installment as Nkonim chief of Asante Nkonim here in Philadelphia, and the launching and signing of his book entitled From Enslavement to Kingship, Bondage to Freedom, a Prophecy Fulfilled, which I hope everybody will patronize. Nana Kofi Tuuda, a senior this year, we say Ayiko, bravo. The title of your book sums it all up for what you have courageously stood for in leading the African American to go back and search for the tradition and culture that you were stripped of through slavery. Your extensive travel to Ghana, and especially to Agogo, began well before your installment as Agogo Nkabomhene, a distinguished title that you have righteously earned. Nana Kwame Akuoko Sarpong, Agogohene, in recognition of your contribution to the Agogo community, accorded you this privilege as a unity chief, a title befitting the role you have been playing at the palace and in the community at large. Nana Tuuda again, in his role as Nkabomhene and elder of our senior family, has also contributed immensely to the well-being of the Abusuan. His participation in and influence in decision-making process based on our traditions and culture values are so much cherished by the family. This has earned his profound respect within the Asante family at Agogo and the palace where he served. His vision of Sankofa has not only resonated with the African American, but also the Africans on the continent who seem to have diverted from the old values and forefathers left behind. Nana Kofi Tuuda, creation of Asante Nkabomhene community in Philadelphia 12 years ago, was monumental and a landmark history, as that was the first of its kind. It was significant because it marked the first time the African tradition and culture were lived and practiced here in America. This was in contrast to where people had to travel to Africa in order to witness or experience the African culture. Nana has shown the way, and it is our belief that very soon similar communities will emerge in other places in America. Thank you, Nana Tuuda, for your vision. It is worthy to note that Nana Tuuda has been able to document his vision by authorizing his incredible book. I will encourage everyone present to get a copy before leaving here, if you have not already done so. The book should help provide the necessary education of the essence of Sankofa to those. Experiences shared in the book will certainly create debate and meaningful discussion on African culture and traditions. And apart from the Agogo Worldwide Association, we pledge our continued cooperation and collaboration in supporting your agenda. We come a long way, and we feel immensely proud to be associated with this Sankofa program. It is our fervent hope that there will be more areas for collaboration that we can build on for mutual and collective benefit. Nana Tuuda, Piao. Long live the Asante Kurom, long live Agogohene. Thank you.
Nana, this message is from, as I said before, from our and Agogo, Mamaku, various chapters, and Agogo community. Thank you very much. Piao, Nana. Piao.
Thank you so much for that wonderful message from the Agogo Worldwide Association. We will next hear from T. Ajua Lewis from the Asante clan and daughter of Nana Tuuda. I'm sure Ms. Lewis will come and speak when she's able to arrive. And next we have Tahuti, Paramount King of the Asar Aset Society.
Tepu. I want to say, I apologize, that's my only word that I know well. Nana Tuuda, and Nana Nom, distinguished guests, Amushekam, and members of the community. We are so delighted to be here at this occasion with you, celebrating our brotherhood, our friendship, our comradeship in the work of restoring our people back to our ancestral culture. And we've known each other for over 4 decades. And I've always known you to be a very serious and dedicated person, bringing excellence to everything that you do. And I'm delighted to see the progress of your work in restoring us to our African mind, because as our illustrious teacher has instructed us, the only thing wrong with the black man and woman in America is we lost our African mind. We are out of our mind. So we have lost the knowledge of our true identity, of our ancestral heritage. We have lost the knowledge of how to come together in family, and how family is literally the fabric of society. And as one of our great historical figures said, it's much easier to properly raise a child than to try to fix an adult. And that starts with family. So we want to give you, as your beloved Osiris family, all of our blessings of peace and strength, that you will continue to move from strength to strength, that your organization will grow, that the pathway that you have cleared and the road that you have built for us to walk on to get back home will continue to be strengthened and to be used by many, many, many more of us as we stand here today trying to recognize the place that we have been calling home. Maybe this is the perfect time for us to wipe our eyes and look at where our true home is and to begin our journey back home. So thank you for choosing to spend this very important moment here with us, allowing us to receive you and all of the honored dignitaries who have traveled here today. We're so blessed to have you here, and we want to wish you our continued success and pledge our continued loyalty and comradeship with you. Many blessings.
Just want to say to the King of Asante, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for establishing an institution for our people where we can gather and we can do business with one another. Thank you so much. So we have Ms. Adjoa Lewis, and then we're going to have Nana Tuuda, Chief Linguist for ANK.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tinashe Lewis, daughter of Nana Tuuda. Today we celebrate my father and one of his many, many accomplishments and 30 years of Unity Chief in Agogo, as well as one of his newly accomplishments, the launch of his new book, From Enslavement to Kingship, Bondage to Freedom, A Prophecy Fulfilled. My father began his journey back home in 1985, and the journey turned into his life mission. And I'm proud to say that I've witnessed history in the making. My father has always poured a lot of love and light into the community, and I've always looked up to him. So, yep, my heart is filled from all the guidance, humor, love, and support that I had from my father. I'm truly grateful to have an amazing man in my life like you. You inspire me more and more every day, Dad. So, to my biggest supporter and my superhero, I would like to congratulate you, and to the world, he's Nana Tuuda, and I have the honor of calling him Dad. Congratulations. I love you.
Let's hear from T. Adjoa Lewis from the Asante clan and daughter of Nana Tuuda. I'm sure Miss Lewis will come and speak when she's able to arrive. And next we have Tahuti, Paramount King of the Asara Aset Society.
Tepu, what to say? I apologize, that's my only word that I know well. Nana KOFI Tuuda, and Nana Nom, distinguished guests, Amushekam, and members of the community. We are so delighted to be here at this occasion with you, celebrating our brotherhood, our friendship, our comradeship in the work of restoring our people back to our ancestral culture. And we've known each other for over 4 decades. And I've always known you to be a very serious and dedicated person, bringing excellence to everything that you do. And I'm delighted to see the progress of your work in restoring us to our African mind, because as our illustrious teacher has instructed us, the only thing wrong with the black man and woman in America is we lost our African mind. We are out of our mind. So we have lost the knowledge of our true identity, of our ancestral heritage. We have lost the knowledge of how to come together in family, and how family is literally the fabric of society. And as one of our great historical figures said, it's much easier to properly raise a child than to try to fix an adult. And that starts with family. So we want to give you, as your beloved Asara family, all of our blessings of peace and strength, that you will continue to move from strength to strength, that your organization will grow, that the pathway that you have cleared and the road that you have built for us to walk on to get back home will continue to be strengthened and to be used by many, many, many more of us as we stand here today trying to recognize the place that we have been calling home. Maybe this is the perfect time for us to wipe our eyes and look at where our true home is and to begin our journey back home. So thank you for choosing to spend this very important moment here with us, allowing us to receive you and all of the honored dignitaries who have traveled here today. We're so blessed to have you here, and we want to wish you our continued success and pledge our continued loyalty and comradeship with you. Many blessings.
Just want to say to the King of Asar Aset, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for establishing an institution for our people where we can gather and we can do business with one another. Thank you so much. So we have Ms. Adjoa Lewis, and then we're going to have Nana Asedu, Chief Linguist for ANK.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tinashe Lewis, daughter of Nana KOFI Tuuda. Today we celebrate my father and one of his many, many accomplishments, and 30 years of Unity Chief in Agogo, as well as one of his newly accomplishments, the launch of his new book, From Enslavement to Kingship, Bondage to Freedom, A Prophecy Fulfilled. My father began his journey back home in 1985, and the journey turned into his life mission. And I'm proud to say that I've witnessed history in the making. My father has always poured a lot of love and light into the community, and I've always looked up to him. So, yep, my heart is filled from all the guidance, humor, love, and support that I had from my father. I'm truly grateful to have an amazing man in my life like you. You inspire me more and more every day, Dad. So, to my biggest supporter and my superhero, I would like to congratulate you. And to the world, he's Nana Tuuda, and I have the honor of calling him Dad. Congratulations. I love you.
Now, how do I follow that up? Agogo. Agogo means please open your heart, for I have something to share. The response is I may. My heart is open, and I'm willing to listen. Although I'm speaking directly to Ohene, I'm asking all to hear these words. On behalf of Asante, Nkonim here in North America. Nana Tuuda, Asante Nkonim, Nana Tuuda, Agogo, royals and esteemed guests of Sarpong family. It's truly an honor to be selected to give remarks on behalf of Asante Nkonim to you on this historic day, Ohene. We have assembled ourselves here today not to give you a pat on the back, but to acknowledge the wonderful work and its impact both on us personally and diasporan Africans that you have done over the past 30 years as an influential spearhead and for our culture. This has culminated with the establishment of the first and only purified Asante nation on the shores of North America. As I read these words, I hear your person in my ear saying, I am because Asante Nkonim is. And we and the world are saying just the opposite. We are because you are. We are because Inyami and Inyamiwa have brought your spirit forth to resurrect our ability to reconnect as family back home to Mother Africa. As we honor you and your leadership and your legacy, we acknowledge that you have carefully and strategically cultivated each member of our nation, family, and we stand unified in our honor of you today. One nugget you shared early on in this process was that instead of sacrificing animals, we would be self-analytical and sacrifice negative behaviors within ourselves, with the ultimate goal of purifying this burgeoning nation on the shores of North America. We have all benefited from your guidance on integrity, punctuality, studiousness, and a oracular system put in place by you here at Asante Nkonim. You not only have established Asante Nkonim here in North America, but designed and built a fully sustainable embassy that has its own autonomy and organic garden and plans to build a pavilion/museum in the future in Shridium, Ghana. Feats no ordinary spirit can fathom, let alone accomplish. These acts have allowed ANK to extend its footprint over the proverbial land bridge that connects us all and will give any diasporan African the ability to visit Ghana and then learn of Asante Nkonim's footprint here on the shores of Africa. That is true impact from the stool of the Unity King. In closing, we cannot look to you, in closing, we continue to look to you for our leadership and evolution as we embrace and embark on the next chapters in the building of this purified nation, and want you to know that your work is not in vain. When you go to the village, your legacy will live on with those left who have committed to continuing the work. and generations upon generations will know of Nana Tuuda, Asante and Kuromhene of North America, and Nkabomhene of Agogo traditional area in Ghana, West Africa, and the indelible mark that your person has left to this physical world. We wish you great health, protection, and more life to continue your incarnation objective. Mo ayedepa. You have done well, my king. Madasipa.
Madasipa indeed. Ahema Asari is the daughter of Nana Okai and Ajwa Asari. She's the editor of From Enslavement to Kingship. And she's up next.
Good afternoon. I don't have to introduce myself now, so thank you. I stand before you here as a proud daughter of my father, Nana Kwame, sorry, and also as a proud Asunani. I forgot to mention my mother too, Ajwa Okwaya, sorry. They've known Nana for years, and I would always hear them discuss Nana Tuuda, and they spoke about him with distinction because of his appreciation and the journey that I didn't even know he was on. I didn't know how long this journey had been going on. So I was privileged to be asked to be the editor of this amazing book. And I have to admit that I have never had that privilege before, but my spirit and the spirit of my father said this is the thing that I should do. And he would be so happy, he would be so proud, and he would be sitting right here somewhere today. He left us a year ago. It's been a privilege, Nana, to go on this journey with you, to be alongside with you as your editor. Nana has done the profound work so that others may be inspired and motivated to seek their roots and live fully in the manifestation of who they truly are. The importance of one's ancestral journey, especially in these times, cannot be overstated. The reclamation of our heritage, clans, and history is essential if we are truly to fulfill our destinies. Nana, yadawase for putting together this book, for allowing the ancestors to lead you. Nana yamaumo. Thank you all.
Thank you. Next, we will hear from Dr. Robin Estelle Alston, owner of the Ashe Yoga Studios and an advisory board member of ANK International.
I'd like to begin by saying Aquaba. I'd also like to say Hotep and Maha. I want to thank you very much. I'm a little nervous, so I will say that as well. To me, this is a very auspicious occasion. I'd like to express my gratitude to the Creator and to my ancestors for making it possible for us to be here today. This, to me, is very, very important. Congratulations to Nana for what I call a groundbreaking bestseller.
If you have the book, do more than have the book. Read the book. And make sure every member of your family have the book, because the book is an inspiration. It will awaken you. There's a chapter or a line Nana has in the book, and it's, I had experienced a spiritual awakening. That chapter is very, very powerful. I thank him, Nana, for fulfilling his purpose. We all have a purpose here. And I thank him for fulfilling his purpose. He not only wrote a book, but offered a way of life for Africans, wherever we are, to prevail and not just get by. You know, we seem to endure. We should be doing more than that. We should be living. Reading his memoir, From Enslavement to Kingship, really opened my eyes to the urgent need to reclaim our true selves. We have so many distractions around us. For the sake of our health and our well-being, this is not for entertainment. This is for inner attainment. Many of us go through the feeling of disconnect and loss from our true selves as a culture. As a result, we become stuck in a rut and we start to live in a very harmful way. Sickness doesn't just happen. It comes from somewhere, and I truly believe when we don't know who we are, we become sick. I'm a psychologist. And if you look at the numbers like I see the numbers, people of African descent, Africans, have a higher level of mental illness. But for me, it's not mental, it's spiritual. The Western society doesn't know what to do with it. Sigmund Freud did not give us the answer. The answer is in what I called, and what I'm stealing now, a Sankofian psychology. That is the only way we're going to start healing and not simply receiving therapy. It's troubling to me when you look at the numbers. 70% of African American children cannot read. Who's teaching them? The same people that enslaved you. Why would you expect them to teach you to read? How are you going to access from enslavement to kingship if you cannot read? So it's our responsibility to teach our children to read. We read in the 50s. Why? Because we were teaching our own children. It was illegal for us to learn to read. Think about that. Everything we have acquired in this country had to be a legal decision, not a mindful or righteous decision. So the person in your classroom teaching your child is the mother and daughter and son of a slave owner. And I say that with fact, because it's no way that you spend over $80 billion in a system and our children are the ones that can't read. We went through the 60s with people saying that we were genetically inferior. That's why Sankofian psychology is needed, because it's about healing, not about treatment. As a psychologist, I don't use traditional psychology. I'm an owner of a yoga studio, and the first picture you see in there is African. It's Kemetic psychology, because our ancestors gave us the answer. And for me, what Nana Tuuda has done is live that answer. Accept your own and be yourself. If you don't know where I've been, you don't know where I'm going. It's very, very important that we understand that our children are being labeled educationally disabled. Once that gets into your head, you start believing it. Nana's book powerfully illustrates that reclaiming our African mind will not only change our emotional state, our educational state, but also our social and economics. If we say it's about the money, then get into your right mind. We have a choice. We can continue to assimilate, and I learned that from the white man, from being in his schools. We can continue to assimilate into what is harming us, or we can embark on transformation. Nana Tuuda, to me, represents transformation, not change. Transformation is a higher process that comes from the inside out. You can change from the outside and not transform in the inside. You understand what I'm saying? Transformation is healing. Healing is becoming whole. Healing is a union or the yoking of our physical, mental, and spiritual selves. How many of us in this room can say we're healing? From enslavement to kingship encourages us to stand tall, draw our shoulders back, keep our head center, and align not only our body but our mind to what is morally right. We move away, as I said, from the Freudian and Western thought, and we embrace the principles of Sankofa. Sankofa means to go back, not like the Freudian psychology of going back, but going back and fetching what you need to continue to move forward. When we do, we connect, we begin to heal. I'm going to close with, I was introduced to Sankofa through Nana. I took my first journey to Ghana with Nana. And I'm going to say this to you, and it's very important for me. For me, it was a Hajj. It was a spiritual journey. It was an awakening. It was an inspiration. It let me, who mother and father died when I was an infant, realize that there's something larger than me on this planet, and that is family, and that is Africa. I'm deeply grateful to Nana. It wasn't just a trip, it was a transformation for me. It became a light that guided me into fulfilling my purpose. I don't work with the systems, the Western systems. I can't. It would be hypocritical of me. The essence of family, community, and village, along with the integration of a spiritual practice in our daily lives, is the only way we're going to get back into our right mind. Let's take a moment here. Just if you can bear with me, just close your eyes for a moment and really think about our lives. Shake off the thoughts and the behaviors that have been pushing us to be oppressed, the colonists, the slave mentality. Tell yourself right now that you are free. Reclaim the hidden knowledge about who you are. Finally, celebrate and remember that humanity, everything began in Africa. Make sure your family and friends read as we continue this journey from enslavement to kingship. Ashe, Madase, I thank you.
Dr. Austin, what a gem. Woo! I have to get your contact information. Okay. We have Kwesi, Pata Akyem Adawirafu of the Agogo Nation in North America and an advisory board member of ANK International.
Yachimo, that means greetings. First, I'd like to say Yedase to Nana Tuuda for honoring me to speak at this occasion. Yedase and greetings, Yachimo to the Nananom, to the Abusiafo, and to the Ebibiman in the West, the Black nation in the Western Hemisphere. So, as an aside, I'd also like to thank Nana Tuuda because I drove up here from DC. I left my clothes in DC. And Nana Tuuda gave me this, and I appreciate that. I want to put some things in true historical context. So I met Nana Tuuda, it's been 12 years actually. Here in Philadelphia, I came to do a presentation, and Nana came with some of the Abusiafo members, and we connected, and he's been a great guide and mentor, and just, he's done great work, but furthering the work that I've been doing for the past 25 plus years have just enhanced everything I've been doing. So when you hear us say, you hear a lot of terms, the Akan, the Asante, and so forth. So just to put this in true historical context, the Akan people are one of the largest ethnic groups on the continent of Africa, which was the term for Africa, the creator and creatress's divine land. So it's about 26 million Akan people between Ghana, the largest population in Ghana, as well as in the plurality in Ivory Coast. So between Ghana and Ivory Coast, about 26, 27 million Akan people, one of the largest groups in the western part of the continent, but one of the largest groups on the continent, period. Also one of the largest groups from whom many of us were taken and forced into North America. So just like many people from the Congo were taken here, people from the Igbo ethnic group, the Yoruba ethnic group, the Mindi ethnic group, but there was a large contingent, especially in places like in DC and Maryland and Virginia and so forth, taken from the Akan ethnic group. So if you look at the term Akan, the root is Khan. Khan has a few different meanings. It means first and foremost, from the beginning. Khan also means to count, to calculate, to reckon. Khan also means luminous, shining, brilliant. So that defines the nature of the people. Khan, first, foremost, from the beginning, a component part of the first people created on earth, and of course, that's black people, but Khan being a component part of the first, foremost, from the beginning. Khan meaning to count, calculate, or reckon, the first to engage in the context and calculation, which is the foundation of equations and establishing patterns and recognizing patterns in nature and replicating that as we build our societies. Every institution, when you count, when you calculate, measure, you see the movements of the sun, moon, stars, the growing of crops and so forth, conception, and seeding, and germinating, and rooting, and so forth. When you count, calculate, and reckon, you're establishing the mathematical patterns that undergird all of creation, and when you replicate that, you can establish a civilization that reflects the divine order of creation. So Khan, count, to calculate, or reckon. And Khan meaning luminous, shining, a component part of the first people to receive the illumination of the creator and creatress, Nyonkumpon, Nyonkunton, and so forth. Spirit possession takes place, Akom takes place. The divine forces in nature operate through us and then allow us through that Kom, that possession, to replicate order within our society, just like order is found in nature. The same spirits that animate the sun, moon, stars, oceans, rivers, Earth Mother, fertile Earth Mother, barren Earth Mother, the atmosphere and so forth, and that divine order we see when they possess us during ritual song, ritual dance, ritual chant, ritual prayer, and so forth, and they speak through us, they show us how to replicate that same sacred order in our communities that we see in creation. So those are the definitions that define the people. we find those same three definitions for Khan, first, foremost, from the beginning, to count, calculate, or reckon, and luminous shining, in the language of ancient Kemet and Kani, ancient Egypt and Nubia. When you look at the Medut and Torah, the hieroglyphs, you'll see the term Khan means first, foremost, from the beginning. It also means to count, calculate, or reckon. It also means shining, luminous, and so forth. And the people south of Kemet, ancient Nubia, one of their titles were the Khan people. They called themselves Khan. And when we migrated from the east to the west and reestablished the Akan Empire in the western part of the continent, we carried that same language and culture and so forth. So when you hear us say Asante, that's one of the Akan ethnic groups. When I say I'm a Jirafo from the Akwamu Nation in North America, Akwamu Mai, Amaruka Tifimu, the Akwamu Nation in North America, the Akwamu people is another Akan ethnic group. So I'm from Chicago. I'm in DC now, but I'm from Chicago. So we started establishing, once I learned of my ethnicity, reestablishing Akwamu Mai within the Western Hemisphere. This goes back 28 years. So I moved to DC. I started coming to Philadelphia, did some presentations. Someone invited me to a specific center and met with Nana Tuuda and the Abusiafo and the Nananom and so forth. So we started working together to further enhance and build, on the work that we've been doing to empower the community physically, spiritually, mentally, politically, economically rooted in our culture. It's very interesting because us as Akwamu Mai in North America, the Akwamu Nation in North America, and then we connected with the Asante Nation here in North America, the Asante Nkonim, Kurom, the victory town in North America. That relationship, that balance, and the work we've done to empower people for the past over a decade is reflected in ancient times, because the Akwamu people and the Asante people worked together from the beginning of their nationhood, so to speak. Osei Tutu was living amongst the Akwamu and the Akwamu Empire, and they escorted him to Kwame, and eventually he took over and became the Asantehene and started, crushing his enemies. So that's how it happened. But the Asante and the Akwamu have been working together for centuries. And the fact that an Akwamu who was in Chicago, I didn't know anything about what was happening in Philly, connected with an Asante here in Philly, and we started working together on a nationhood basis. That's a spiri-genetic inheritance. And we're gonna, of course, talk about that. So I just wanna say, Yerase, I appreciate all the work that you're doing, all the guidance you've given, and the empowerment of the community. Yerase. Thank you.
So, Kwesi, you said you've been doing this 28 years. You were a baby then, right? You started when you were a little kid, right? No, it's a blessing. It's a blessing. Last but not least, we have Nana Kwaku Gyamfi. Representative for Nana Akuoko Sarpong. Yes, ma'am. Oh, yes.
Hello. Ma Obibia Ajo. just about a month ago, Nana Akyem of Asante Agogo, Nana Boachi Yadom, gave me a call, says he want me to come and represent Nana Akuoko Sarpong, Ohene of Asante Agogo, which is today's occasion. Come be with Nana Tuuda. It's very, very, very nice occasion today to be here with all my people. I will cut my story short. Nana Tuuda is a part of Ejase Akuoko in Asante Agogo, Mahi tradition. Nana Tuuda is a part of Nkonim, or report libation once every 40 days in Asante Agogo stores. We always meet once every 40 days. Me, Nana Tuuda, is very, very important for us to meet at 3, 4 a.m. to pour libation for Nkonya, which is the oldest stools in Akuoko Sarpong, Mahi tradition. Every single traditional thing that you guys saw here today, which is of liberation, is very, very important. It's not a joke. So every single drink that they pour, all the instances are listened. We have a Kwaside, Okude, all the Dabonese in Asante region or in Ghana tradition. It's very, 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 I'm very, very pleased to be here tonight of Nana Akuoko Sarpong to choose me to be the part of this occasion. Nana Tuuda is very, very, very important in Agogo, including America and Philadelphia here, and Nkabomhene of America and Ghana. Everyone should give this man respect the way you guys always do. We're going to come here every year to support you, Nana. As long as you are alive, we'll be here every year to support you. Medase. Anwasi.
Madasi Nana. Our elder, Marimba Ani, says that our culture is our immune system. It is our immune system. It protects us from that sickness that Dr. Alston talked about. So, and also in keeping with giving honor to our elders, we have an acknowledgement from Sister Ngozi in a plaque presentation with reference to Opapanine Jewel Ali.
Greetings. I'm going to read this plaque to our dear elder, Sister Ngozi, and then Nana Asadi is going to accept it on behalf of her. They are actually blood relatives, so they're actually family. So, to our dear Sister Ngozi, Margaret Baldwin, we can never put in words the example of female eldership that you have exemplified over the years. The Asante and Kurom nation in North America honors you on this day and forever. Nana Tuuda, the Asante and Kuromhene in North America, and the Agogo and Nkabomhene Ghana.
I receive it on behalf of Sister Ngozi, and she will hear. She will hear.
Please give Sister Ngozi a round of applause. Struggling with my cloth. The Ghanaian brother's gonna show me how to rewrap this, I guarantee it. Every year for 20 years, it's the same thing. We would be remiss to not acknowledge one of our other elders who unfortunately could not travel. But Ohene, she's been they've been a part of each other's lives for decades, actually. And she is with us in spirit, but she's come to us in a physical plane in the person of Sister Oba Panin Jewel Ali. Please give her a round of applause. Like she's not. And when we think about eldership, and we think about those who always have something wise to say, who has lived the life and the example for everyone to live, but also in her role as an elder with Asante and Kurom, she is literally the kingmaker and queen maker. And so we owe a lot to her, and without her presence, it's hard to say if we would have been here where we are today as a nation. So please, again, let's send Sister Jewel Ali love and light and energy. At this point in the program, we are going to have closing remarks from our Ohene. So when I say our honored guest and our esteemed leader and our king of the Asante and Kurom, please give him love, light, and energy. Without further ado, Ohene Nana Tuuda. Check.
There we go. Yami, Yamiwa, which is the male, female, supreme being. Nananum and Samafo, which are our honorable ancestors. Nananum Panifo, which are our honorable elders. Abusiakor, which are our clans. Abusiafor, which are our family members. To our host, Sarasset Society, or Tutu Kamu and Himshechem and family. To our esteemed representative, the Baamuhene of Agogo, representing Nana Koko Sarpong, and our illustrious Queen Mother who has enjoined him, as well as all of our Agogo family, the Nananum that have come. Most importantly, to our brothers and sisters that have come here today, both in physical form and throughout the world, using technology, we want you to know that all that we are, everything that we have done is for you. It is for you. The challenges that we face as Africans has been touched on by Sister Astu so eloquently. And so I want to shed a few insights that have been gained over the years that talk about not only challenges, but how do we work through them. I keep in touch with our young folks through some of my intermediary young folks. And they tell me that our young people now has a saying, make it make sense. Make it make sense. And that's so profound because when I reflect on it, I've been asking my ancestors this ever since I've become aware that there was spiritual reality beyond physical and that I was connected to it. But I would never take anything on face value. I would ask them, where you're leading me, you got to make it make sense, okay? Because it's a little different than what I was raised with. It's a little different from what I became comfortable with, even though I was raised in a very, very functional, loving family from a Western perspective, but I was living in hell and didn't know why. So part of the book reflects the journey that I've had from birth, moving to the point of begin to not only have a greater understanding of why we have fallen as a people, but also what is our way back. And I want to share a few keys with you, hopefully to make it make sense to you. We have to accept that when these Europeans and their offspring showed up on our shores, we say, 450, 500, 600 years ago, we have to ask ourselves a question. If snakes come to your house and predators come to your door, do you open your door and welcome them in and then let them have access to your children and your family? Well, at some point, that is exactly what happened. Why? Because we lost our way. Our nets went on the ground. When we were raised and created to stand up straight as African spirits, reflecting the divine qualities of all power, all presence, and all knowledge that we were created to be as Africans, we walked away from that. And we lost our spiritual sense of who we are and how do we navigate through a very treacherous environment. If you don't know how to navigate through this earth, it's treacherous. And so as a result of this taking place, exemplified that a man cannot put his foot on your neck unless your neck is on the ground. So therefore, what we have to do is stand up again as African people. How do we do that? My personal history, when you hear today honoring Nana Tuuda, Nana Tuuda, Nana Tuuda, I'm blessed to know that at a certain point in time in my journey, that it was revealed to me that I had a specific mission. And the mission manifested itself even before I knew the details of it in 3 parts, with the first part having a part A and part B. And one, I was instructed that I had to find out who I am, first and foremost. And so therefore, and I'm going to mention certain names today. If I don't mention anyone's name, don't take it personal. As a matter of fact, I've had time to put many, many of your names in the book. So you'll see it there. But there were 3 key people that were put in my life at key specific points in time that are building blocks for all of the elders and all the information and all of the spirit guides that I've had throughout my life. But there were 3 folks that had a pivotal role. And so in 1979, 1980, my younger brother said that he saw I was on a pursuit to try to find out who I was. And the book spells out the details of the journey. But he said, when I look at you, I think you're going to be interested in somebody named Ra or Nefer Amen. And so I went and sought him out, and he was teaching class in Southwest Philadelphia, little recreation center, little short man, And I'm like, I don't know. I've been studying Theosophy and Rosicrucians and going through all these various teachings. So I said, well, let me sit down and hear what he has to say. In 1 hour, this man captured all the things I had been learning from other cultures, other people, and put it in a context that was African, holistically, on all levels, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically, dealing with all forms of health and nutrition and yoga and meditation and homeopathy and oracles. And I mean, it just went on and on and on. And I just was taken to another level at that point. It was shortly thereafter, within a month, that I went to my first retreat, the Saraset Society, which Ra Nefer Amen is the founder and the head of. they hold yearly retreats in Virginia. So I went to the retreat, and it's nice, you know, we're chilling. Early in the morning, a Akan priestess assistant came and got me. It must have been about 5 a.m. He took me to the riverside, and the Shechem or Shechem was there, 5 o'clock in the morning. So I'm saying, uh-oh, I must be in trouble. You know, what did I do? It was at that time that the Akan priestess went into possession, and the Obasoon came and told me that I was an Akan. It was revealed to me in 1979 that I was Akan because I was clueless before that. I was a general African doing everything that we do, trying to get back. But she went on in possession to say that she was bringing me to the Asera Set Society because it most resembled the old ways of the Akans. And there was nowhere else that she was able to bring me at that time so that I could get the training that I would need to prepare me for what it is to come. I went to Asera Set, and they said, when it's time for him to be released, we want you to let him go. Don't hold on to him. Let him go. He has work to do. He's an Akan. Shechem is shared. Not everybody in the Asera Set Society are ancient Kemethians. Many of them come to learn and then go back and do the work to their various nations. So I was one of them. And I must admit, you know, I don't know how many of you are Harry Potter fans, but when I was told I was a Khan and I looked around, it was like the house of shivering. You know, it wasn't something that I was really kind of thrilled with. I said, well, you know, because, you know, everybody wants to be Kemethian, you know, whatever. But as the time went on, I was there for 11 years. And it came a time when it was time for me to go to the next level, and I knew it spiritually. You're going to hear me talk a lot, or not a lot, because I'm not going to be on this long, but you'll keep hearing me making reference to I was led. I was led. That is the relationship that we have with the unseen spirits that are part of our family and our community. And therefore, we must open ourselves up and be led by them, because if we don't do that, we will stay in on this treadmill of just trying to find ourselves physically and not be able to generically make the connection once again. So in 1982, I was blessed to be a part of a delegation where Nana Akuoko Wari II was coming to the U.S. for the gold exhibition. And I was working with the Asera Set Society, and we were co-host for him along with other people. But it was there that I met Nana Akuoko Sarpong for the first time in 1982. And in the language of our Asante brothers and sisters, I was just a small boy then. You know, I didn't have any position or whatever, but I was like a sponge. I would soak up everything. And so in 1982, I met Nana Sarpong, and he didn't really recognize me. I was just one of the small boys, you know, holding umbrellas or whatever, which is not a bad thing. Matter of fact, umbrella holders get to hear a lot of what's going on because of their proximity to the king. And so it wasn't until 1985 when Asera Set Society traveled to Ghana for the first time, and I was part and blessed to be a part of that delegation. So it was there I got a chance to be on the ground and experience. All the time, my ancestors are speaking to me, and they're critiquing this, and they're giving me insights on things that there's no way that I can say, take credit for it because I studied this, or I'm so intelligent, or no. It was being revealed, and I'm a good listener, and I'm a good follower. And so in 1985, we had a wonderful experience. We went back again in 1986 with the Asera Set Society. And it wasn't until 1990, I had already made my transition out of Asera Set Society because it was time for me to do so. And I went to the East Festival. This is 1995. I went to the East Festival in New York, and I ran into the Shechem or Shechem. And at that time, we greeted one another warmly. And I told him I was on my way to Ghana because I was going to an installment of Brother Cody Anderson here. May his spirit be at peace and rest. He was being installed in the Kwaku region, and I went there to support that. And when I mentioned to to Shekhem that I was going to Ghana, he says, Nana Sarpong always asked about you. He said, so I want you to go see him when you go to Ghana. And I'm floored because I never even knew he recognized, who I was, but something else was going on. When I got to Ghana in 1990, I looked him up. He welcomed me with open arms, and for the next 5 years, I went under his wing, and he introduced me to the Agogo, the Agogo elders, the Nana Noom, the Abusiakor, the clans, the Abusiakor, the families, and I began to immerse myself into the Akan culture, but I still was not clear on who I actually was as an Akan, because there's 3 stages to being an Akan. One of them, you realize you're an Akan, but then there's branches of Akans, as the Odrifo reference. So you could be an Akyem, as our dear sister Hema Asari is. You could be a Fanti, you could be Asante, you could be an Akwamu. There's various branches. So even though you have the same family structure, same 8 clans or Akan, you still have a little different way of navigating. So it's important that you know your specific bloodline as you go back to reconnect to who you are. And then the third aspect of it, and the most important part, is your family. Which family did you come from? And so let me just have a dribble real quick, give you why it is that you have to be able to have an understanding that just because you've come here and they've attempted to wipe out our memory about who we are, how it's structured so that you, by opening yourself up, can reconnect just as one here in Asante and Kurom has done. Would you share that with me, please?
I would just say, if you imagine 4 people like KOFI, Kwesi, Abena, and Akua, 300 years ago, they get captured and forced into North America in chains and slavery. They start fighting against that, waging war against the enslavers, escaping and so forth. They have children. Their children grow up. They fight against enslavement as well. Some of them escape and so forth. But eventually their children, KOFI, Kwesi, Abena, and Akua, transition. They die and they see their children growing up in America. And they are the ancestor and ancestress of their children. And their grandchildren are born, and generation after generation, these great ancestors and ancestresses, KOFI, Kwesi, Akua, and Abena, are watching over their descendants generation after generation. But at some point, a few hundred years later, the great-great-great-great-grandchildren of KOFI, Kwesi, Abena up, and they get married, and it's time for them to have children, and the spirits that to the womb is KOFI and Kwesi, and they're the very same KOFI, Kwesi, Abena, and Akua from 300 years ago who were forced from the continent. Now they're born back into the world, walking around once again. That's a spirit genetic inheritance. Just like you change clothes every night, you're the same person, but you have a different wardrobe on. When we move through our spirit genetic blood circles, we're born through the same clans. Our Nsamanfo, our Nananum Nsamanfo make sure we're born through the same clans. We have specific abosom that govern us, and our clans are reflective of that. And even the Achinebois, the animal totems that follow us. If I'm growing up in Chicago and the Kwakwadabi, the crow, is following up, showing up every time there's an issue that takes place and they need to warn us about something, or someone is a child of the Asinie Abusia, and the Apine, the bat, shows up anytime there's a problem and so forth, or someone's Asachiri and the Opete, the vulture, shows up in America, and we're just walking around, we don't know what's happening, but our Nsamanfo will send us those messengers to communicate with us. And then we find out later, we're put in position to come across information to pull those things together, like the reason why you're seeing these totems, the reason why you're connected to this culture, the reason you're drawn to Adinkra and Kente and these different things is because you're KOFI, you're Kwesi, you're Akua. We're the same people who have returned. When you see quote-unquote African Americans walking around, these are ancient ancestresses and ancestors who were forced from the continent, and now they're back.
Madasi, thank you. This is important because one of the biggest stumbling blocks that we have to actually moving from being generic African identified, which is a step. When we went in this country and were brought here and went from being called niggers to colored to Negroes to blacks to Africans born in America to, African Americans to Africans born in America. There are steps, and all the movements and all the people that were involved with us making this transition is what we've all brought us here. We stand on the shoulders of them, and then what we've been doing over the past umpteen years. But we have to step up our game now, because we did not come from a generic African environment. Africa has 54 countries with multiple cultures within those countries. Every bloodline, every ethnic group, yes, we're connected at the root, but then you have to live life based on who you are, based on your particular bloodline. So when you look at everyone, Asante and Kurom was able to come into existence not because Nana Tuuda brought it into existence, but it was because just as my journey brought me to the awareness of being not only an Akan, but an Asante and then an Aseni, which is one of the 8 clan members, totally revolutionized my life, especially as it pertains to my footprint on the ground. There's certain people, again, I just have to mention names. Brother KOFI Anyankusi, who's a part of us, one of the founders of AWA, but he's also one of the Abusi Alpanines of the Aseni clan in Agogo. So therefore, me being an Aseni and him being an Aseni elder, when I go to Ghana, I go to my Aseni family first. But he would tell me, he says, you know, Nana, you come here and you go to that palace and you spend all this time around Nana Sarpong and Nana Num. He said, you're not going to meet any of the family members in there. He says, that's like going to court. There's too much heat in there. You got to come out and get with the people. And that's what I was able to do. And 2 of the people that I met through KOFI Anyankusi was a person by the name of Mr. Barfor and another one by the name of Mr. Fofi Asari. And what they did was to open up their home for me so that when I came to Ghana, I wasn't staying at a hotel anymore. I was able to actually live as the people in Ghana. And I'm forever grateful for that, which provided the foundation for us as Asante and Kurom to then construct, you heard the mention of embassy. Well, you say, well, you know, how can y'all have an embassy? You know, are you a country? Well, yeah, we are. We are Oman. We are a nation. It's not a matter of how many people you have. It is a matter of the family structure that puts it together, and then you have your elders, and then you have your chieftaincy, then you have your priest class, you have all of the various components that come, but it all starts with the family foundation. And so therefore, for you to go and be able to re-identify with your bloodline, which is what your ancestors are giving you the sign for, you gotta pay attention. In my particular case, when I was growing up, a bat showed up in my house, which we know the fear that we have been put in us about bats. And, you know, rightfully so, in a way, if they may have rabies, it's not something you want to, you know, grab them with your hands. But it showed up in my house before I knew anything about that being a totem for the Aseni clan. 2 more times at crucial points in my life, at different locations, bats showed up as part of my confirmation that I am an Aseni. People had dreams they would tell me. So all of this is happening not for me as a unique person, it happens for y'all, but we need to pay attention. You need to expose yourself, which is part of what Asante and Kurom wants to do, which is to be able to give you enough experience to have, for us, it's the Asante, the Akwamu, you know, the Akan experience, up close and personal. Every now and then I watch TikTok, you know, or Facebook. Why? Because I need to see what our young people are doing. What are they saying? And in 1 year, which is about the amount of time, space I give it, because that's addictive, okay? You can sit there and scroll forever on that. But what it went from was a lot of stupidity and a lot of jokes and whatever. Now I'm finding a lot of information coming through the young people about the veil being lifted from their eyes in terms of who they're not. They're starting to find out who they're not. But what they need to know more about is who they are. Each one of y'all represent the leadership of where we have to go as a people. It is only through the reunification, first of ourselves, within ourselves, organizing ourselves again as family structures based on our bloodline, expanding that to be able to create nations. When you look at what we have been able to do, it was mentioned Baamuhene's sister Jewel Ali, who is the mother of our nation. We would not exist because the Akans are matrilineal. So therefore is the first female in her clan that establishes a town, so that the Asante and Kurom's royal family are Ascenis, not based on Nana Tuuda, but based on Sister Jewel Ali's identification and realignment with her spirit. So this is something that the dynamic of my process and my journey, this book is not something that is written as a pat on the back autobiography. It is a how-to manual based on my example and what I was able to do and the blessing that I had to come back in contact with all of these spirits that we ended up, each and every one of these had their own story about how they were able to realign themselves with their bloodline and come to the awareness. Y'all should be talking to them. Ask them, well, what was your journey? Each one of us have our own way. The other thing that came up on TikTok was this madness that has an indigenous continental-born Africans talking about how negative the African Americans are and how they have to protect themselves from us. And then conversely, you have those that are talking about the African Americans have to protect themselves from their brothers and sisters, and we need to kick them out this country because we're the reason they're here. And I'm saying, okay, I can see why this is out there. Today, you can't ignore what is taking place here today. This is not some ceremonial, one-off occasion. This is years and years and years of getting to know each other. There's a process that's taking place here that's a filtering process. We suffer from a lack of good character. Huh? Good character is at the foundation of African culture. Everything you see is aimed at building solid foundation, solid culture, and you have to do it systemized. It's not an individual journey. You can only go so far. That's why our ancestors was called the authors of civilization. People think we was floating around in clouds, thousands and thousands of years ago. No, we had wayward behavior. But our ancestors put together systems that was divinely connected that enabled us to be able to rise above and redirect the forces that are within us that we were not using them the way they were designed to use. And that's what African culture does for you. We have Nana Tuuda, who you heard today, who's the Gyamfi of Agogo, the chief linguist for Nana Sarpong. If any of you work with corporations and whatever, you may know the chief, the CEO of the corporation, but when it comes down to rolling up your sleeves, you want to be able to work with somebody you can get your hands on quickly, and they can work with you on a daily basis. And that's what Nana Tuuda has been for us. He's been sent, and he's one of the ones that recognizes not only who he is, but who we are. And each and every one of you that have traveled and have been with me, and by extension us over the years, you're game changers with us. Because, as y'all know, we get known and we get called Obronis. Obronis is a term that loosely means white people. And it would puzzle me because I'd asked them, put my skin, I said, do I look white? And what they would explain, well, you don't look it, but you act like white people, you know? And I had to go deeper into it and explain to them that Obroni doesn't mean white people. Our ancestors named these people who invaded our land evil, wicked people. That's what Obroni really means. So once I defined that, I said, are you saying we're evil and wicked? Oh, no, Nana. I said, well, then see yourself recognizing what happened to us and also what happened to you. What happened to us in chattel slavery, everything was removed from us. What happened in colonialism, a lot was removed from you. But we both are suffering the same type of challenge, and Sankofa has to apply to all of us, which is what we're doing here today. Being examples of this. So, the identity with your clan is not necessarily going to come right away, but it doesn't stop you from being able to structure yourselves differently. You have to ask yourself the question, and Astu, Dr. Robin Austin touched on this. If in fact we were living in a peaceful, harmonious, civilized way on all levels, family was intact, communities was intact, everything was as it should be, heaven on earth. And then we fell off our square and allowed these people to come in, and ever since there's been chaos. And when we study their history, they have not brought forth anything good since they've been on the planet. And you can trace this. Don't take my word for it. Go back and show me where they've done anything where either they haven't stole it from somebody else and tried to make it seem like it was theirs, or it's so polluted that it's killing them. And now they put what? And let me say this to you. We have to Sankofa together where we are and travel back. So when you read the book, you see my Christian roots and the seriousness that I had in doing that until the ancestors took me to a step. And this is not to say that people are Christians or Muslims or anyone has the same journey I have. But the fact that you're here and you're a Muslim or you're a Christian or Buddha or whatever says that there's something else in you that needs to be satisfied. And that's why you're here. So that's what unifies us. It's not our religions, the Western religion. That doesn't unify us. The political systems, it doesn't unify us. The educational systems they give us destroys us. So when we examine all of these systems that's been imposed upon us, we have to take pause and examine. After all the education, all of the PhDs we have, all of the doctors, all of the access to health care, all the president that was a black man, you know, we can go on and on and on, but our statistics are worse than they've ever been prior to having all of these things. So that's the motivation for us, to be able to look back. Sankofa, go back and fetch that which was in our past, but it has an egg. The bird has an egg in its mouth. And it's saying that it just can't go back and fetch anything, because you don't go back far enough, then you're going to fetch those people, places, and things that have our neck on the ground. You got to go back far enough, but the principles don't change. So you bring the dynamic aspect of culture, it's alive and well. You can do that generically without knowing who you are. You can embrace it until the spirit reveals to you who you are, but then you want to organize yourselves around your family structures, behind clan systems, not nuclear family structures. That was given us by the white man. Partisan politics is not the governmental system of our ancestors. The institution of chieftaincy is, but the chieftaincy doesn't come unless there's a family structure in place. I understand why we say we come from kings and queens, because we want to hold ourselves up to have pride. But the reality of it is we come from families first. And then out of families, the elders come. And then the elders decide who leadership should be. When you look at Agogo, Agogo has his own jurisdiction and authority. So therefore, Nana Sarpong is the king, and Nana Frakuma is the queen of Agogo. And even though you have the Asante Hene, the overall custodial of Asante, you know, the golden stool and all of that, the Asante Hene does not run Agogo. Nana Sarpong is the head of Agogo. Do you understand? Jurisdiction and authority. We are under the impression, or were under the impression, that you had to go to Africa in order to be empowered to have jurisdiction and authority in your place of abode, where you live. That's impossible. They don't have the spiritual covering to do that. They don't have the knowledge base to do that, especially when we're talking about here. So when I'm in Agogo as the Nkabomhene, I am a citizen of Agogo. I'm the only one that's a citizen of Agogo, but Agogo has become our sister city because the same 8 clan systems that we have are the same 8 clan systems that they have. Asanas on both sides of the room, raise your hands. Asanas. Asenis, raise your hand. Bretu, raise your hand. Agonas, raise your hands. I'm getting in trouble now because I'm going to be skipping somebody. Ajuanas, I said Ajuanas. Ayoko, raise your hands. Ajuana, that's right. Who else did I miss? What clans did I miss? Ikonas, raise your hand. Okay? Do you see the hands going up on both sides of the room? This is reuniting as real extended family once again. And so therefore, when we go to Agogo, the year of return when we went, we were the only African collective that went back during the Ghana's year of return and really returned, because we exchanged clan symbols with our brothers and sisters. That's real return, not tourism. So part of what we're going to be doing in the future, and a lot of people are asking, you know, Nana, will you come, or will we speak here, or do this, that, and the other? I want y'all to understand we have to stay in our zone. We have to stay in our zone. So therefore, that three and a half parts that I mentioned, me getting myself together personally, and then being able to be that impetus and that initial force to organize the Asante's formation here in North America, and specifically Philadelphia. And so once we were able to do that as a collective, then connecting with our brothers and sisters became the next level. You understand? But we had to first be who we are. So the jurisdiction and authority that we have as Asante and Kurom comes from here. It was our family members and our elders here that then put Nana Tuuda on the stool. And by extension, Nisa Ra, which I have to give her perks as the first Asante and Kuromhene. And so to bring this to this portion of a close is that once we were able to reconnect as we've done here, all of these are exemplary for y'all. We don't want y'all to go and keep traveling as tourists, and they go over there and they ask you what day of the week you're born on, and you tell them, oh, I'm born on a Friday, and you're a male. They tell you, oh, your name is KOFI. Well, your name is only KOFI if you are actually an Akan. If you're another ethnic group, today we've had the Ga participating. We've had Akwamu. We have various manifestations of Akans. We have, and when I mention Ga, I will be remiss not to mention a gentleman by the name of Lawrence Larteque Latte. He has been the exemplification of one that all of us, just as we've connected, we have sister cities, every community across America should realign themselves up and then connect themselves with some African country, whether it's in Nigeria or Mali or whatever, do the same things that we're doing to have that reconnection again. But this gentleman has handled hundreds of thousands of dollars for us building our embassy, a sustainable model with solar energy, capturing rainwater, organic farm. We have the land now for a museum. We worked through him handling hundreds of thousands of dollars, and he never took one dime. Huh? Is that exemplary? All of these are examples of what we can help you to do, filtering what takes place so that you don't become frustrated and become disenchanted by your tourism coming back to say, that was a great experience, but now I'm back in hell. What do I do? Huh? So this is what we're here to do, to help with those who want to cultivate that type of awareness. If you're a Khan and you're an Asante, we can help you. No matter where you are in the country, we can help you establish yourselves. and have your nations and your communities organize yourselves. Understand there's a difference between government and governing. Government is what we're under now, huh? But we're not really under it. All we have to do is stand up and govern ourselves with our own systems, and we will be liberated. We will be freed. The bondage will be broken, but we can only do it by going back through Sankofa. So I want to bring my portion to a close. As I said, we're just touching on things here. The book, and believe me, I'm not trying to sell books. The book is not brought back so Nana Tuuda can ride off into the sunset a millionaire. It's not even designed for me to turn a profit. The book is for y'all. It is for y'all. It was for me. The ancestors wrote this book. When I went back and read the book, it was a page turner for me, even though it was my life. So hopefully, each one can grab something from it. If it's not just one thing to stop you from going 46 years down a road that we've had to travel in order to get here today. So if we can help fast track you, put you on course, help you to guide you, we're here for you to do that. Please don't get offended if you ask me to join, even the community-based organizations. We had to grow through that. We realized that that was a Western way of pimping our community through nonprofits that had nothing to do with the ability to change our plight. We have to stop looking to people who don't know, never demonstrated what they are for us, our way forward. Stop doing it. Doesn't make sense to me. Let's make it make sense that we go back and get what we have demonstrated we have, and let's live it once again. So any political parties or any type of thing that people see themselves working through, we can't assist you with that, because that would be distracting us for what it is that we need to do to live what we're talking, but also to be exemplary to help you and assist you in your journey. So we are going to break now. We're going to have a brief, opportunity to change, but we're going to come back with a Q&A, question and answer. I don't even have too much to say anymore. I want to respond to your questions, and you can ask questions of anyone here, but the book itself is something that we highly recommend that you invest in. You get a copy from your children. If they don't know how to read, teach them how to read it, okay? And as, again, you grow and develop, we'll be here for you. We have, again, the last link of my tutorial in terms of Nana Sapone, and Shekam or Shekam Ran Neferman, Amen, and Nana Sapone, is this gentleman that's sitting right next to us, the Adrirfo Rakwesi Nechem Pata Akan of the Akwamu Nation. He can help you with making connections in terms of showing the connections between the various cultures and giving you information that will help resonate within your spirit to help you hear and listen to your ancestors and confirm what it is that you're being shown so that you can, again, organize yourself. So the resources are here. Nana, just say a few words about NAPR, what we're going to do with NAPR.
Okay, so if you see the acronym NAPRA, it's a network for African American productions for restorative ancestry. So basically, a network, you eventually be able to log onto the network, and there'll be a great deal of content, whether it's podcasts, whether it's documentary films, whether it's different, books, productions, all empowering every aspect of our lives. So different content creators, as long as they're focused on, from our community, not just Akan, but any Afurakani or African individual, black person who's putting forward content that's going to empower our people physically, spiritually, economically, politically, grounded in our culture and so forth. That's the kind of network that we're putting forward. Similar to like if you look on Netflix and they have, content, but other channels that don't just have movies, but podcasts, newscasts, broadcasts, art, just anything that's informational. That's what the network is going to be about.
So we're going to release you at this point to get some food, you know, go to the bathroom, whatever. We're going to have a short break, but when you come back, we'll have a table set up and we'll have a Q&A for you to be able to ask questions, get some clarification, and then we're going to break away and let y'all party, okay? Enjoy yourself. So, Madasi Pa, we thank you all for gracing this occasion.
Ago. Really quickly, as Ohene mentioned, we're going to have a transition. Ohene will, if you need your book signed or would like your book signed, Ohene will be signing books in the pathway to my right. If you're looking at me, your left. Yes. The ones who have to leave, he will sign those individuals. If you don't have to leave, you're going to stay, or we will have a second opportunity for Ohene to sign the books. Very well? Love, light, energy. Let our ancestors join us when I make these two words. Ohene, Nana, Asuru.
Nana Tuuda.
Range that lasts up to 600. Turn the lights on.
Majo Mohuntasen, speaking to our participants that are joining us from Ghana on the Zoom call. We thank you so much for being a part of this historic occasion. You are very much appreciated. Our brothers and sisters here feel loved by their brothers and sisters home on the ground. We don't want to keep you too long because you're in Ghana and we know the 4-hour time difference and it's late. So if anyone has any questions that's on the Zoom call, we'll open ourselves up for those questions and then we'll release you and continue the program.
Hello, Nana Tuuda.
Greetings.
This is your senior brother, Nana Tuuda in London.
Nana Majo?
Yeah, me flower my congratulations, my boy Abasu for the achievement. I've been watching the program since you started, and then you are. So I've sent you a WhatsApp message on the other phone anyway.
Yes.
But I'm going to bed because it's about 6 minutes to 11 here.
Mati,
To 12, yeah.
Mati.
So we'll talk later.
All right.
I hope you remember me. You remember me
Ane.
with yeah, okay. You and you was made us. I mean, should I almost about
Yendasi.
Omo Yinche.
Yo.
Omo Yinche. Actually, Bakasa.
Yo.
Congratulations.
Deye.
Bye bye.
Yeah,
Bye.
Anyone else want to join us from the Zoom call before we release you? Okay, so we officially release our Zoom callers so they can get some rest. It's late, and it's getting late for us too here. So we want to open up the floor for Q&A, questions, answers, any comments that you have, any input that you have in terms of what you've experienced today. This is being recorded, and this will be sent repeatedly all over the world. And so, make your presence felt so that they say there are no stupid questions. All questions are relevant, and they benefit not just yourselves, but others that would hear the questions. So the floor is open. I know we still have a lot of people that are in line waiting for food. We may want to do a poll and pause the recording for a minute.
I don't want to have a difference with family. And I took on this Africanness and the spirituality about the ancestors. And the conflict come because our family were educators. That's what You know, what's good for the goose, good for the gander. It's, you know, the ancestors did it. We have to recap that. We have to make our own terminologies and ideologies, like you said, would leave us back with the true ancestry of our beginning. What he said, Kam, or Kai, and Kemet, and Baba might know, in Yoruba, it's Orun. And the connection with Orun, that which is of us, is not heaven. It's the closest thing to us from our ancestral lineage that mapped out those stars in heaven and knew when to. So that's what I wanted. You speak strongly to me in my spirit and encourage me a lot more to just keep on keeping on, keep getting up and finding knowledge. And my strong point is through all the spiritual, I saw somewhere in the preface that you were drafted or went in the military. Yes. That's when I found out I really knew something. You know, because I was 70 and below, Ohene. Yes. I wasn't supposed to make it. Yes. You know, but I came up on the rough side, in the University of the rough side, so when I fell down, I had something to hold on to, my father. Yes. You know, he was a longshoreman, you know, he, of course, did the best they could. But still that ideology of how we were raised grade school, high school, by the poor Irish. And from the poor Irish, then it was the Italians. And coming up, that ideology played on our minds because everybody wanted to be the godfather in that sense. But we wasn't from Italy, and we wasn't from Ireland. And we started discovering that through some of our scholars, that we were, as the brother said, the first beginning of any kind of civilization. But it's hard because they hid all the knowledge, and the scholars took our faces off of it. Yes. So I just, you know, yeah, I've been, when I hear it and I could get there, I'm coming. I'm gonna be there. And I said, you know, this time I'm going to, you know, try to absorb some more because, and, you know, Ochime, he'd go way back too. Okay. And I was somewhere in West Philly, just a brief story, if you don't mind. Not at all. I had talked to Ochime on the phone, and I was in West Philly, Upper Darby, drumming. And he walked by, and he said, let me give y'all some brothers some money. He threw it down and came back and gave us a tip. Yes. And I said, I know you. He said, no, I don't know you. I said, yes, you do. I recognized him from his voice on the phone, and it was him. Okay. You know, talking about spiritual interaction. Yes. So I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you very much.
Well, brother, again, we thank you for your support over the years, but most importantly, your consciousness. You represent leadership for us as a people, because it is being in touch with the unseen world, which is going to take us out of the dilemma that we're in, when we could earth that properly. And to be the oddball, you know, in your family, to be the one least likely to be viewed to do anything, it comes with our territory, because we're cutting edge now. And we have to have love and patience with our brothers and sisters as they make that transition. As long as they're not trying to impede us or pollute what we're doing, then we have to have compassion and support their growth process without impeding our growth process. And so therefore, we acknowledge you. You know, your path is our path. You know, you are us. There's nothing unique about what we're doing. It's just that our mission at this point in time has us bringing this, but it's for you and others like you to act upon it, because without that, then we'll be back here doing the same thing year after year. So claim it, go back, institutionalize it, and let's come back together again as a people. Madasi, thank you. her the mic.
Hello.
Greetings.
Hi, greetings. No, I'm okay. I'm coming. Okay, so my name is Nana Nyamiche, Donko Sarpong. And the question that I had, first of all, I want to say that it is invigorating to know that there are, basically, you are doing things that I have been speaking about for years, anyway, my journey for a very long time. So thank you for your journey and your insight and what you're giving to the community. But my question is that how do we approach the younger youths into heading on the journey of self-enlightenment? What I've noticed, you mentioned before about social media. Even I myself, I'm a spiritualist in the, not only ANK, but in the Yoruba faith as well too, where I have shrines, right? And our father, my brother's father is Nana Akuoko Sarpong, but my father personally is Ga and Fanti.
Yes.
And our mother, we have the same mother, is a Black American.
Uh-huh.
And our family on our mother's side comes from Lancaster, South Carolina, right? And people from the South, they know about hoodoo. They know about, the Geechee and all these other things. And the Gullah, all these. They're more so interested in, I'm going to say, the spiritual works, that type of practice, instead of trying to search where they actually come from.
Understood.
So they're dabbling into things that they really don't know,
Understood.
So it's like pretty much how do we try to navigate from that part, not like excluding it, but how do we navigate from there, or just incorporating, okay, maybe you should find out which part, of Africa, or, pretty much connect them more so onto their roots and their heritage.
Very good.
Via bloodline.
Nana Madasi, very, very important question. What Nana is basically referencing is that the way, especially in North America, and I can't speak to other things out off of the continent in terms of how the Caribbeans process African culture, but we have been introduced to it through the spiritual aspect of culture. So therefore, the priests and priestesses have been perceived as, and even view themselves as, the reflection of African culture. And so many people see this through this narrow portal as African culture. But that's part of the work we have to do, is that having the priest class that are calling African culture and institutionalizing that is like going into a town and all you have is churches. There's no city hall. There's no, educational systems that are outside of the spiritual, and there's no disconnect from spiritual and physical, but there's specialization that a Komfo priest and priestess have. They play a role in the society, but the societies, and we're talking about Akans and specifically Asantes, it is the chieftaincy system. The government is what oversees the total community under the auspices of the elders. I spelled that out very clearly. There are no chiefs and queen mothers that didn't come about, that didn't pass through the family elders first. But if the family structures aren't in place, we will never, and it's a total holistic system that has to work hand in hand. So that's why, again, priests and priestesses, they may ask me to come out and speak, but I have to make sure they understand I'm not going to come out and separate the the way that we're structured as Akans and as Asante specifically from the way that they're practicing at this point in time. So it's very important. It's not like they're not, they have missions of being spiritualists and whatever, but we have to operate out of context. Has to start with family first. So you can't call yourself an Akan if you don't know what what family you belong to. So we have to be able to step back and examine, and even if you don't know that, just to be aware that that's something you have to be aware of because your ancestors will be revealing it. But we have to stop giving the impression as if the priest and priestess class is actually the manifestation of the Akan culture. They're an aspect of it, but they're out of context. And this is what you're saying. You see, if you just learn this, it's like it's a full body. The culture is built on all aspects of it. But just having the arm functioning outside of the body is not functional. And that's what we have to, continually to share with our priests and priestesses, that we're not attacking, but we have to put this in harmony. Other than that, people like yourself recognize the disconnect. And our youth will give it a try and it won't work and then they'll go away. So again, this is what we have to understand. Family first. If you're God, you're patrilineal, study each the cultures. We want to expose y'all, through the networks and whatever, to different ethnic expressions so you can feel it. Asante's okay, but I feel those guys when I'm in their presence. There's something to that that's resonating. You want to follow that, and it'll be confirmed for you. So again, what you're saying is it's a necessity that we stop viewing our culture just from the spiritual practice and see it as a homogeneous system that has, again, family, elders, chieftaincy, even educators. People that educate still need to be initiates, meaning that if people are teaching your children, they need to have a good moral fiber. They need to understand, other than that, why should we release them because you know how much 1 and 1 is? No. Character first. This is what elders, cultivate. Chieftaincy is nothing but an extension of elders. We're elders, but we have specific roles that we play. And so therefore we play that role and we oversee, but we're under the auspices. The definition of a chief is Yami, I'm talking about Asante chief, is Yami, Yami Wa, and Nana Samafo's representative on earth, meaning the Most High, male, female, supreme being, and the ancestors' representation on earth. So it's just not wearing cloth and having these titles and whatever. You have to be in touch with the spirits. We use oracles, and we meditate, and we do these things to get that inner voice activated and then be able to act. And that's what has brought us, in conjunction with our brothers and sisters on the ground, have invested in us in terms of a knowledge base. But it's our ancestors that have delved into it with this Sankofa. Go back beyond and then make it applicable to where we are. We have to live our culture here. It's not going to Africa to get it and going to Africa to live it. It is becoming it and living it where you are. Every city should have their own, Akan, Yoruba, and it only takes one. Brother Mangalisa Torre, one of our young bucks. And if you don't mind me saying, again, he's a Namibian, and he knows his clan as a Damara because his father is from Namibia, may his soul be at rest, who was a former president of Namibia. He doesn't like putting it out there, but I said it. But he's a culturalist. So when I was talking with him, and as a matter of fact, with Drillful, we was down in Washington experiencing some things that he was doing. Somebody tapped me on my shoulder, and it was Brother Mangalisa, and we go way back. But what happened was Drillful pointed out to me that he was a Damara associated with Namibia. And I said, why didn't I ever know this? I thought you was because he's from the Fernandez family, so I'm assuming he's a Yoruba with Odunde, He says, no, I know my bloodline because my father, and our tradition is patrilineal. So he was able to identify. So I told him we need to know that. He is a nation of one. You understand? Everything that the Damaras represent, everything that we can know of the Damaras, everything that can grow as a result of that is coming from this brother. So all of us, at one point in time, I was a nation of one here in America. But we can never go beyond until it becomes the collective. And until it gets there, we have to continue doing this work. But it'll happen. In Tree, we say, kakra, kakra, kakra. Step by step by step, we will get there. Madasi.
Nana, just to add to, when I heard the sister's question, and it took me back to you telling us many times, we may never know our actual, this brother's blessed because he knows his bloodline. We may never know exactly where we came from by using those DNA tests and stuff. I remember you teaching us that. But as a school counselor, I have a young lady that, you know, I'm interviewing her because she's very sad. So I started, by us being matrilineal, I said, well, who do you live with? She said, my stepfather's mother. So that's not even the bloodline. I said, well, what about your mom, your maternal grandmom? She said, all of them are gone. Now, my heart just sank, even though, you know, she may not originally have been from a matrilineal system, but in my eyesight, I just felt so bad for her because it's like, it's kind of like she was left here without some connection to someone. So, but that's just an experience I had recently.
Well, just quickly to respond, Sister Nabila, who is in a corner, okay, she's a Asante and Kurom Abusia family member. And when you see our year of return clips, you'll see her proudly displaying her totem with her Akona family. You know, the bull, would it be bison, bull? Are they synonymous? The totem, the bison over here. But she's holding her clan symbol. And when you listen to her language, she's making difference between patrilineal and matrilineal. You know, we didn't come up with this, having this type of discernment and being able to, and making the distinction. She didn't have a DNA test because that's not possible from a physical standpoint to actually take us back to our bloodline. It can give you indications. And if you start there, fine, but you have to notice spiritual, the way that we have to connect now. And you will have signs if you're paying attention. So she didn't become a corner, you know, and when I say become, realize that she was in a corner from a DNA test or any physical way of tracing her lineage back, but yet here she is. So it's possible to do, and it will happen, but we just have to be aware that this is a step in the process. In the meantime, don't feel lost because you're on your journey. And you will continue to be revealed, but it's the difference with being open now and listening and paying attention, studying the cultures, paying attention to people. Some people, my daughter is an Asana because her mother came to the realization through Mama Kay, who is an Asana, that this is my mother. The spiritual connection they had, which made her an Asana. So since it's matrilineal, all of her children are Asanas. So my daughter now has a bloodline. You see? It goes generations. Once we start reconnecting, we have generations now of Asanas in the same generation while I'm still here. So this is powerful stuff. Madasi.
I guess I'm fortunate, blessed that I actually got to know Nana Oparabia, who brought the spiritual tradition to this country back in the 70s, and she established the Sona Abarati Shrine, and I was a member of that, and she actually, one day we were she was divining for somebody else, and I was in the room, and she stopped and turned to me and told me who I was. I'm Asana, and she gave me my clan name. So I was like, wow, I'm just blessed for that. And it was so funny, a few months ago, my son's, I was talking to him, and he told me that he had got his DNA done probably from one of the black organizations that give you more than just a country. And it said he was Ashanti and Yoruba, but I already knew that because I'm Ashanti and Yoruba, so I'm glad that he got to know that. So
No, that's interesting. It's like Nana was saying, you can get some insight. You probably talk. He did the African ancestry.
Probably.
The black
the other
one.
ones don't go that far. Yeah.
Okay. So it's like, so with the DNA test, like Ancestry.com is just, they give you percentages from different countries. AfricanAncestry.com, they have a higher number of, individuals of samples, but it's mitochondrial DNA, which is the mother and her mother and her mother and her mother and her mother going straight back in a line. And if you take the Y chromosomal DNA test, it's your father and his father and his father and his father and so forth. So you can get those direct lines, and if the person reincarnated through that specific line, then you get it. But if it's, say, a person's mother, and then her mother, and her mother, and her mother, and that person was Akan, but her husband was Yoruba, and you incarnated through the husband's line, the test won't pick up the fact that you're Yoruba. It'll pick up the mother's side. But if you were a Yoruba ancestor, came back through because he married her and your spirit came back through, the test won't pick that up.
Well, the test said that he was both. Yeah.
Right, so if he happened to be, what side was the Yoruba
They
side?
said it didn't say, well, he didn't tell me what side, it just said that he was Ashanti and Yoruba.
Right, so if he, say if the father was Yoruba and his father was Yoruba, and you go back 400 years, a great Yoruba ancestor, he was, directly descended from him. But if that Yoruba man had married an Akan woman, and she brought an Akan spirit through their union, it would pick up the patriclan Yoruba, but that test wouldn't pick up the mother's side. It would pick up, you see what I'm saying? So you could test it, you would have to test that line then. Instead of just testing the father, you would have to test the father's wife and then her people to get the full picture.
I don't know how they said both.
Yeah,
but those are just straight lines. So they'll pick up the straight lines, but the marriages, it depends. In other words, when you have a child, when they bring you into the world, you're either an ancestor of your mother or your father. The test, if it was a patriclan test, and you were an ancestor of your father, and your father's great-great-grandfather came into the womb, was drawn into the womb, born into the world, ancestor, then the test would pick that up. But if that Yoruba man was married to an Akan woman, and she pulled one of her people into the womb, patriclan test, and it said you're Yoruba, it wouldn't pick up the fact that that was an ancestor, was Akan, came into the womb, born into the world. It would say your father is Yoruba. But it wouldn't be, so he would have to take the test of the wife and see what her people are. So you can take multiple tests. You can,
I think it's simple. Then we got Brother Torre. He's been. Which one? Where? Oh, okay. Go ahead, brother. Let him come and then you come. Let him and then you.
Greetings, Nana.
Greetings.
See, my name is, from before, my name is Nana Yao Samwa Koko Sarpong. I'm biological son of Kwame Koko Sarpong, and which is, people see the glitz and glamour of chieftaincy, the cloth, the jewelry, the kente, and all that stuff, but what made you say yes to being a Nkabomhene? Because most people don't know the amount of pressure that being a chief has. I've seen it firsthand. The way I had to share my father with 30,000 people. So I can only imagine, being one of, a chief here in America and having to be a messenger here for all the people here in the diaspora. So what amount of pressure did you face? What made you say yes, and how did you deal with that pressure of being a chief, and also not just a chief, but a messenger of the Akan diaspora or the African diaspora here in America?
Madasi, thank you for the question. In my definition of what a chief king, and I don't like the word king because it throws up the Western European, model of our leadership, so we're called Nanas, Ohenes. But you heard me mention that the actual post calls for you to be the representative of the Most High Spirits. That's not theory, which means that you have to purify yourself. You have to be able to, there's a saying, Brother Alfie Pollard gave me a bit of wisdom one day, and I changed it to the ancient African spirits, because he said the ancient spirits, but the ancient African spirits would give anything to live at this day and time. How do they live? They live through us. But in order for us to embrace those energies, we have to be on point. We just can't be we don't have to be perfected, because if that was the case, I wouldn't be here. But we do have to open ourselves up and follow the guidance that they have. And it's going to be different from what we're getting. So when you saw my daughter come up here, she said, he's Nana. He said, but he's my dad. You see, you have to be able to have that connection. It does not, king doesn't override your family responsibility. You're all of that. But it is definitely a need. I guess the best way to put it, in our culture, the Ohene doesn't own anything. It belongs to the people. So when you look at the palace, people say, oh, Nana Sarpong has a nice palace. It's not his palace. It belongs to the king, even though he was the one maybe built it or responsible for in his time. That is for the kings that will come and the queens that will come into the future. It belongs to the community. One person once said to Nana Sarpong that somebody called him rich. He said he was insulted. He said, you don't know me. He said, everything I have passes through me, because that's the job. And so therefore, it's not about us wanting these things. It's about, if we're called to be these things, it's important that we take it serious, because if not, there's a price to pay. You can't play with these high spirits. And that's not spookism. This is reality. You see? So, it's not about chieftaincy always. It's about each person in the family. Each one of y'all have a mission. You've come here to perform your specific function, and they all interface. We just have a certain role to play. So what we're saying is that for those who would say, it's nice being king, they really have to have a better understanding of what that means. Just as nice, because I have benefits, but it's because of the things that I have to do to get me in line with divine order. And as a result, I benefit from it, and I'm able to serve my people. So hopefully that answers your question. Adasi.
Okay. Nana, ours won't be a question. It's going to be a donation from New York chapter. We know this program is here for a long time. It always shows up. And the other chapters, I know they're doing their own thing. But New York chapter represent today. So we are here to represent $1,000 to help Nana Tuuda and a program. So this is the check now. $1,000. It's Agogo, my association of New York. Agogo, mine of New York. Represent $1,000 to the program. Yes. And other chapters, they're doing their own from Virginia and other people, Massachusetts. And now, the good thing about this program is the continental Europe. They heard it, but they heard it late. So they waiting for next year to come and support you. That is the message from continental Europe. That is Berlin. Yes. The Agogo people in Berlin. They will be here by next year to support your program. Thank you.
On behalf of myself, Asante and Kurom, the Busiako, Busiafo, we give a great thanks for the support on all levels. And as this is a good example. I cannot use this just on myself. So it will be used for community work. So we say Madasi Pa.
Yes, Dasi. So now we all going to New York, so if you don't see it now,
All
that
right.
means.
So we release you, we say India Yama Yankok.
Yate?
Yo.
Yo, Ninya Meko.
Yo.
Amen.
All right. All right.
Anybody else?
I just wanted to give a heartfelt thank you for your efforts. Known each other for too long to say, because that would reveal a lot about our age. But more importantly than just that, the understanding and knowledge of how we master ourselves through our culture, through our heritage, you've been exemplary in that. I look forward to reading the book, because we have had a lot of talks about it, and the idea of transformation. Each of us goes through stages, and it's a very personal thing to do when you go through these different stages in life. For you to put it out there in such a manner is heroic, it's brave, it's revealing, but it also speaks to the stature and the quality and the type of man that you are, and the type of leader that you are, and what you've built. And I was just sharing with Uwa the same thing about what the Asar set had built. And I always get a great sense of completion being in the company of you two and having my relationship with you as I've had for so long. And almost as long with Uwa as well, too. I think that goes back to 90 when they was on Girard Avenue. So, yeah, it's been a while. But what your work has done and how you've been able to bridge continental and diaspora and how to actually develop the lineage and that fine details and that type of work is the thing that's going to be legacy. And what you've done, like I always tell you, you've done your work, you've done it well. So I just want to commend you on that, tell you appreciate and love, and just, I don't know what else more you can do at this point. Maybe the tour? All right, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Real quick, my maternal grandfather, that man they never touched his blood, because you could tell he was straight African. But the systems like Adorwa, right? Adriwafo was speaking about, like that African ancestry. It was so hard for me to try to trace my mother's father's line. So they were like, oh, you could only get this person or this person. Well, most of those people were deceased. I had one cousin, and I think he's scared of the law, so he wouldn't give me his sample. But I really wanted to know what my mother's father, where he was from, because his blood wasn't tainted at all. You see pictures of him, he's straight up African, but I just wasn't able yet so far, unless my cousin gives it up, to get a taste of where that side of my family comes from.
Madasi.
Question. I did Ancestral.com too, and also did Cambridge University when Lewis Gates was first sponsoring it. And Cambridge University said that my mother left Sudan, Nubia, 60,000 years ago. They couldn't trace my father because he left 100,000 years ago. But how did they know that? So my mother was responsible for a lot of European and Indian DNA that came right back down into Ellis Island and England and back into America as my consciousness. I went to Ancestral.com, and they said they could do my mitochondrial gene from my mother because she passes on. And it came up, my father's Irish, 45%, or Portugal, Portugal DNA. And my DNA from my mother points to the Cameroon. So what I'm saying is because of the race mixing, 100% of my question is now, where the people from the Cameroon come in through the Ghana side. Even though I have understood that a lot of Asante said that they migrated from Kemet. They also became the warriors in the mountain, came down, settled the valleys, and a lot of clans were born. And also that they had ancestral relations with the Yoruba people as well. But because of some bad blood, they maintained the landmass in Ghana, as the Ashanti was great warriors at that time. So you hear the confusion. So I looked at another documentary, and they were saying that it's impossible to take somebody's blood, living, live and living, and through their DNA say what their ancestry was. Louis Gate admitted it. I forget the person that came out with this, but it was a moneymaker. And of course, they got mine too. That this was a whole moneymaker by this other professor. Louis Gates picked it up and began to sell it. But if we really want to know who we are, it's like Kai say, they would have to go dig people up and do bone marrow, what they're doing in Kemet now with the, dig all, your father's father. I think it's some story after so many generations we were removed from our ancestry. And with the mitochondrial gene, and my father was Irish. We know that. And my mother maintained the Africanness in her mitochondria because her name was supposed to have been passed on through the family lineage from an African queen, Uva. I tried to chase, all I found was there was a river in Benin, UVA, not EUVA. And they said because of the French people put that E in front of her name. So, oh, I didn't introduce myself. I've been to Nigeria 6 times. I also took my chieftaincy. I have a warrior spirit. That's what they define through the oracle. I'm Chief Jaguna War, Balogun of Philadelphia. Omo Wale, the child that returns home. Tosin, one is enough for worship. Egun Sanya Ifashanu. My ancestors to compensate for my suffering in the mercy of the Almighty. My family given name is Willis Lee Durham. My mother gave me her father's middle name, and my father gave me his father's name. I'm the only one in the family with carrying that. So my dad said, and if I don't greet you properly, it's because, I forget, and I know it's,
no, that's not even necessary. The various culture expressions going to have their ways of greeting. Each one has, the protocols. But what is important is the love and respect we have for the institution. We're not used to deferring to each other in terms of hierarchy and protocols because, again, this Western man has no laws, and we just don't see ourselves in the same capacity. We don't expect to get in touch with the CEO of a particular company, or we don't expect to get in touch with them, but we expect not to go through an Ochami sometimes to speak to, and it is not something that is a big I or little u, but it's just a function. You see, we can't just take everybody, but we can address everybody through, the people that are there to set up. We greet you, and as I say, Nana, I say Nana, just that way. But your title, you have, and you're talking from a family standpoint, not just a priest class. And if you are, you've heard some things here to have you dig deeper. And as I say, you become a Yoruba nation of one, if that was what it has to be, and begin to allow people, it's a magnet approach. The magnet approach. You attract what it is, but you also repel. It's natural, you see? And I want to get away from this physical DNA conversation. Spirogeneric means spirit and the physical side. It's one. And so if we're truly spirit, we keep saying Africans are spiritual people, be it. Don't act as if your ancestors can't communicate with you. We used to say we sat in front of trees and was able to communicate. They turned it into that we said we talk to trees. But we understand trees don't have vocal cords, all right? But then when they came out with the book, The Secret Lives of Plants, now everybody's on board with the fact that plants have life. You can put a match next to them, the leaves move away. Why do we have to get that from those other folks, all right? Let's get away from this physical. They need physical ways of trying to address things. We're spiritual people. Be it, claim it, and it will guide you. It will guide you as sure as we sit here as an example. Huh? So, that's that.
Nana, I just wanted to say thank you again. Always appreciate being with you and your presence. Important for all of us in our community. Hear this over and over again. It's very important because as people become enlightened about not only who they are, but about the roots where they come from, it gives them a better purpose of who they are. And that's why we see so many children down the street at 15, 16 years old. I mean, they don't even know who they are yet, and they can say, I'm gonna kill somebody. But again, I just want to thank you for being a part of that. The other part of this is the discussion while people talk about lineage. What the statistics, I'm not a scientist, but what the statistics tell us is in the next 15 to 20 years, 25% of the total world's population will be descendants of African or the African diaspora. So all we suffered, we're here to come back, and you got to be prepared. So your work is preparing our people not only to take over the world, but to rule again and rule in the face of humanity, all those things that our ancestors suffered for hundreds of years. We have to prepare these young people for the world of the future and be able to rule in a humane way. So I want to thank you for that, and y'all get ready. Get your young people ready to rule. Okay.
Thank you so much, brother. This is Brother Stanley Strother. We go back, Strother. We go so far back, but he's been involved with so many, for years. He's been, facilitating African consciousness, facilitating, international, types of endeavors. And again, he's one of the people I look to him. I said, let me know how we doing. You understand? We got to look to our elders and let them critique us, as we go through this process. So, he gave me the nod tonight, so I'm feeling pretty good about that. The aspect of, our leadership, we have to redefine what that means. We have to redefine that. And our leadership has to come from people who have spiritual, Africans, first of all. Let's cut to the chase, okay? And you read the book, I've had people in my life that was of all different ethnic groups, and I gave them the acknowledgement, but I also say that they cannot take us out of our plight. They're not equipped to. Stop looking to them for that. And so when we talk about leadership, and I guess our brothers and sisters have traveled, the reality of it is under the Shechem or Shechem's tutelage, he spoke to the fact, you have the Haru story where Haru and Set are doing battle, and there comes a point where Haru's winning one day, which, and then Set, which represents a misutilization of divine energy, okay, because there are no negative energies, but whenever we misuse divine energy, we become evil, okay? But he was, Haru was going to restore civilization, through Osir, and, there's a lot of different versions. But there was a point where Haru had to sit at the feet of Tehuti, which represents oracles, the truth, and that was the way he was able to defeat Set through truth. And so this is when we talk about the struggles and the battles that we have, it's not about picking up the gun and going and kill our enemies at this point. Doesn't mean that we don't have to one day defend ourselves if we have to, but that's not the battle. But we are at war. And so therefore our tools have to be the utilization of truthfulness, to build good character, strong, sound minds as leaders. Once we start doing that, we'll start attracting these young people. Right now, what they're seeing is not too appealing to them. You see? Matter of fact, some of them took, make it make sense, and they say make it make sense. So if it's not making dollars and cents, they don't want to hear it. But all this is for us to be able to give them something. Once we do that, then we'll be surprised what type of response and results that we'll get. But we have to be this. We can't be, playing around and shucking and jiving. The last part of what I wanted to say was, again, shuckum or shuckum, had gave an analogy and said that one day the sun that rises in the east and sets in the west will rise in the west and go back to the east. And even in the Haru story, Haru was taken out of his land and then cultivated and groomed to come back to his land. Well, that's who we are as Africans born in America. Because of what happened to us, everything was stripped away from us. It had to be ancestral guidance that was able to bring us out from this. Whereas with our brothers and sisters, a lot was taken away, but they still had a lot, you see? So the urgency that we have is not necessarily the urgency that our brothers and sisters have to come out from this dilemma. We realize that our necks are on the ground and we're not going to leave it there and we're coming up. But in doing that, it can't be us versus them. We have to come back again as one people, but we have a very special role to play in the restoration of global Africans based on what we've been through. So don't take it for granted, claim it, and utilize it. Madasi, thank you. So we'll take maybe if it's, I'm going to sign it. If it's one, more question, I will. Because I do want to allow time to sign some books and then, be released by, 8 o'clock because it's time for the Nile to move on to the next agenda. Anyone else?
This question is going to take you past 8 o'clock. Over here, Nana. Over here, Nana. I'm undercover.
Oh, there you go.
So Brother Stan brought up a very important point in talking about the youth. And
got another mic for? I'm wired up here. Want to come up, Ora? I yield to the gentleman on the floor.
Didn't have my royal casual wear. But such a powerful program today, such a beautiful program, one of many that we have here. But I always say we're talking to the usual suspects, meaning like it's us, those that are already conscious, So the question of the youth was brought up, and we know that one of the great things about culture is secession. The deliberate transition, cultivation of the youth to carry on the tradition, to carry on the knowledge, and so on. And we're at a point where a lot of us, and I say us in our age group or generations, were formed by certain conditions that we saw coming up, from the 60s and the first of our people to do this and the first of our people to do that, and, the kind of consciousness that we had in our music, in our artists, But now the younger generations have a different context, So the question or the subject matter is, how do we reach, the younger generations? I know when I went to Ghana, I've been to Ghana one time, I went to I'm forgetting, I think we were in, I forget the village name, but they had a section that was for the, we were driving around the village, and there was a section where there were, benches and a shelter and whatever. And I said, well, what's that? He said, well, that's that's the, whatever they called it, but that was the place that was designated for the young people, the youth in the village, to gather and to discuss, what was going on and, what changes that they saw and what needed to be addressed and so on. So there was a clear intention to guide the youth into working together collectively in the community and to give their input so that they buy into the society. So in your work and your observations and training and experience, what do you see that still remains in our culture? What do you see that's being eroded? Because we also see the younger generations in Africa, the whole Afrobeat thing and what have you, and you see the videos and you see the copycat of the same kind of values, that our younger people are projecting, right? So what's happening there as far as the youth, and what have you learned from that we can use to help to bring our younger people into this understanding?
Thank you. Again, there's no one answer, and I don't profess to have it, but I can say this. I keep talking about the institutionalization of our culture because it is spirogeneric. And when you go to Ghana, I have now run across one school that had a metal detector in it. Huh? I have not ran across one student that assaulted a teacher. You go there and it's like a pin drops. Now I'm speaking about the rural areas because Accra and even Kumasi, because why? Because of the infusion of Western minds into those environments, and social media and things of that nature are polluting the environment. But what I'm saying is, until we can get to the point, and I'm sure you can attest to this, Ora, that we have this bubble almost of institutionalized approaches for the Akans and the Asantes here in Asante and Kurom. You've seen some of our young men and our young women here today. It's not that we sat down and taught them classes about how to respect and defer and whatever, but yet you see them holding umbrellas. These are young males, grew up in America. I know when I first came through, I'm not holding that Negro's umbrella. Who you think he is? I mean, that's the mindset that, folks would have. But the point I'm saying is that the magic happens when the more we're able to institutionalize the reevaluating the words, that we speak. The emphasis on sports and music and rap and this, that, and the other. Unfortunately, we're going to lose some of our. We've already lost them, and therefore, once we put together, I just mentioned the magnet. Once we put together the institutionalized spiritual generic practices, we will begin to attract those, and we have to pay attention to them. Some of our children are just going to be lost. We're at war. We're going to lose them, and they're already lost. So we have to pay attention to those that have that spirit. Cultivate that. That's what's going to make our next leadership, and it doesn't have to be a lot of them. But we have to invest in those spirits that are demonstrating that they are open to this. And so we have to just, from our experience, we're not able to, to address all the youth at this point where they are, but we definitely can create an environment and allow that spiritual magnet to be able to activate itself and work with those that are being within our own abusia and outside of our own. Yes, sir. And just one more piece on this. We have to redefine, first of all, education comes from the root word educare. It means to bring out, not to put in and memorize, regurgitate, and get a grade. So for Africans, it's implying that something's in us that when we are able to educate properly and we bring that out, now we're developing a spirit that then can have a mission. We also have to redefine the infrastructure as we see as what are schools. We took a house that I grew up in South Philadelphia and turned it into the Agogo Cultural Community Center. And I can tell you over the 15 years or so that was there, how many people came through, how many, the types of knowledge and speakers, and, I'm talking about, the game changers for African people came through there. So we didn't have to have big infrastructure. Whereas the building that I lived in, we took the living room, and it became an institution of learning. We have a place here. The spirit's here. It's just not a nice facility, it is, but there's a spirit here. And so again, we're here, we're supporting this. Why? Because to support him and them, we support ourselves in this bigger picture. So this education thing is a deep piece. You got to environmentally have things in place for our children to be able to become who they are. So we can only do, like I said, if we're looking for broad strokes to be able to turn our young youth around from killing each other and whatever, I don't have an answer to that at this point in time. I just have to stay focused on what we're doing, allow the magnet to work, cultivate, because we're cultivating leadership of the next generation. And it doesn't take many to have a high impact. Look at us and what we do individually and the impact that we have had. So that's what I have to say. Brother Torre?
Yes.
Okay.
There's an African proverb that says, while both the cheetah and gazelle are swift animals, the gazelle never sends his children to the cheetah to learn how to run. Perhaps one of the things, and I do a lot of youth as well, one of the things when they say that we don't have answers as adults is because they keep saying you keep putting us in the same thing. Get a school, get a job, get a higher degree, get a job. We keep telling them the same mantra, and if we talk about spiritual genetic, then these are people who are coming back from 2, 3, 5 generations ago. We're repeating the same cycle and they're rejecting it. This is why I thought the most important thing that was said was about the institution building. But the question we have to ask ourselves is, if we're going to build the institution, what are we building it toward? Is it making sure that our children can get good jobs? Are we still going to be dependent on our children going to their universities and we're proud of that and we're going to turn the tassel? Or are we going to have something else developed for our children? We talk about resources. Africa right now, as we know, in many of the countries they're strip mining. They're doing all the damage to that continent that has been done everywhere else. But they need the resources. They need the money. Can we get to a point where we actually understand that this paper money is not something we need? This is how our new institutions have got to function. And they got to be models of it. A student of mine, a former employee of yours, and a contributor of yours once said to me, and I give her name, Boniswa, she said to me, one of the problems he saw when we was talking about it is many years ago when he was young. And she said, we just got bad PR because they don't promote us correctly. And we don't promote ourselves correctly. So when you look at, I always tell Uwa how proud I am of what they've done here. I always tell Nana Tuuda how proud I am of what he's done and what he's built. Stan, you know how I feel about what you're doing down in the village. I tell my mother, the progenitor of it all, without her I would have none of this. She's given it all to me. And when I look at this, it's about the institutionalization, and we have to do that. One of the new people I met, even I almost got 10 years with him now, Ojirafo. His work is impeccable in regards to that and the teachings and so forth. So to me, what needs to be done is the complete institutionalization. But our institutionalization has to be functional to a point that we're able to service the basics. Feed ourselves, clothe ourselves, shelter ourselves, and then the spiritual values that need to be incorporated. That's got to supersede everything else. It's got to supersede your degrees, your income, everything. Once that gets in place, I think you'll see these people turn around because they want it. They just want to make sure that you tell them to do this, and then you're going to tell them to go get a job. We contradict too much, and we confuse them.
I'm going to leave my portion with this to drive home Brother Mangalisa's Torre point. I say it might have been about maybe 10 years ago. My Chamihene, Nana Seydu, South Philadelphia, he said, Nana, we have a group of it might have been about 8 to 10 young men who was making their money on the streets, and they saw what you were able to do, and so they want to meet with you. They've all, want to whatever, do right. And can you, speak to them from an entrepreneurial standpoint? So I said, yeah, absolutely. I said, but there's going to be 3 meetings. I said, the first one, and at that time I was down at 20th and 20th and Market Street, up on the 20th floor, looking out over the city. We had 40 employees, big conference room and whatever, and I took them down there first. Secondly, I took them to 5th and Snyder Avenue, where we maintain our offices in the community. And I said to them, the last part of where you have to attend is to a Agogo Cultural Center gathering. And it was there that we dropped the quality of life, priorities. You're not your occupation, that's not who you are. That's what you, manage or should. And we did all of that. And I said to them at the end, I said that I will invest in y'all, teaching y'all about economics and how to, first thing is you can't be doing any hidden types of undercover stuff. We're not doing that, So if you really let that go, then we can move forward. However, you can't separate the cultural part from the other part. If it was 10 of them, 9 of them said, we good, brother. We just want to learn how to make more money. So people would say to me, Nana, this is our youth. Why wouldn't you? Because I can't keep creating more little capitalists that will turn around and harm themselves and harm us in the name of serving our young people. This is the type of discernment that I see that we have to make when I say we have to pick and choose. Now, again, I'm still there for them, but they're going to have to be open for what the priority is, which is the quality of life, how to master yourself and then master your environment and then be able to sustain yourself, in a way that you're not harming yourself or others. So this is the type of scrutiny we have to use when we're talking about education of our youth. So, Brother Stan? We're good? Okay, well, I'm going to actually come to a table and do that. So, Sister Scar,
thank you.
We want to close out. I want to again thank everybody. Again, it's being recorded. This will be sent around, so all of this, unique type of consciousness, will be put out there. And I'm sure that we will have some feedback in terms of those that are open for what we're saying. Let's take the time to invest in them and then let the rest take care of itself. So we thank you again, and in the words of the Akans, we say, Yabeshia Bio, we shall meet again.